Hey everyone, we have the lovely Kat Munoz from Women Warriors here to join us on our podcast. So
yes.
Everybody welcome Kat. So we're so happy to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yes.
This is officially the second podcast I ever have done. So I feel like I'm going to crush it now. The first one I got through my learning curves, and this one I'm ready.
Well, very, very, very good. Again, welcome to North Carolina, and we wanted to just have a little bit of a discussion on, a little bit about what you're doing with the Women Warriors and stuff like that. So
right.
I'm going to leave the mic to you for a little bit, and you can kind of explain what you're up to these days.
Well, it's obviously not a one-dimensional project that we've started. We started with a group of women that all met through social media, and they all had the passion of encouraging women to protect themselves in self-defense through firearms, knives, just regaining their self-confidence in general. We realized that there was a lot of even civilian PTSD and things like that just aren't really talked about because, I don't know, it's just not mainstream information. Most people think PTSD, oh, you must have served. Well, no, and PTSD is obviously very common with veterans, but it also happens in domestic violence situations and other things that people don't naturally think of. So we have taken it upon ourselves to find charities that we give back to through some of the proceeds through Warrior Knives, as we sell Microtech knives, and also just our contracts in general. We try and raise awareness through different different ways of funding them, and all of us individually, I think we're great as a group, not because we're all the same. We're great because we're all different. We're great because all of us have come from different backgrounds. In the group, we have veterans, we have people that have never served, we have mothers, we have women without children. We have all different backgrounds, but we have the same commonality of being very passionate about women being not afraid to live in this world, basically.
Right. Well, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, cool. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing on the knife side.
Okay. Well, the knife side has actually, and it's been phenomenal because as we've realized, not everybody wants to carry a firearm. Not everybody is even comfortable with carrying a firearm. And it also requires a lot more training than, say, carrying a blade does. And the reason why I say the difference is because as Americans, we've pretty much had knives our whole life. We were cutting steak. We learned at a very young age kind of what you should and should not do with a blade and kind of safety mechanisms. And you only have to tweak that a little bit and put it into, carrying it portable or folding, but the same principles still apply. As of with a firearm, there's really no other primitive forms of learning how to use a firearm other than if you had a BB gun or a squirt gun or things like that, but you still don't learn true safety measures. And we've found that with women wearing, tighter clothing generally than men sometimes have a little bit more advantage of being able to conceal a firearm in almost any outfit, where women sometimes have a little bit more trouble with that. And the versatility of a blade it's way and above beyond of being able to conceal a firearm.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah. It's, we obviously have a lot of women that have purchased knives, and we also have a lot of men that love the fact that we are promoting them because they've gotten their wives to, and maybe honestly we'll make a little joke, but also serious. Maybe they just use it as an excuse to buy another knife for themselves and say, hey,
I'm
baby.
thinking.
Yeah. Hey, baby, it's okay. I got you one too.
Yeah. But if you could certainly get the missus on board, that goes a long way as far as firearms and knife purchases and car purchases and everything else.
Exactly. So whatever their true means,
Absolutely.
But a lot of men who truly care about their women also want them. If they are an advocate of carrying for themselves, they usually are also an advocate of their wives or teenage daughters or etc. Anything carrying as well.
Exactly. And that's, something that we really appreciate about what you've brought to the table for Microtech is, the whole entire team, our whole entire mission was to just try to get a little bit better exposure to the the female audience, and it's done very, very well. It's been very well received, and like I said, women are the economic power of the planet, number one. And
well, at the very minimum, we're half of the population. So if you want to market to to everyone.
Sure.
You people that only market purely to men are missing out on 50% of, and men that maybe purchased something for their wife, etc. So we've really tried to hit that other demographic and normalize women carrying knives as much as men. Men, I feel like, I mean, if you look and you watch, just people watch, you will so often see a man with a blade in his pocket. But how much do you usually see women with one?
You know, nowadays I'm seeing more and more, which we hope to continue to. I think just women just have a tendency to conceal their stuff a little bit better.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I like. But no, you know, pocket knives in general, or cutting tools in general have been around since the beginning of God's creation anyway.
Exactly.
So it's here to stay, you know. So I couldn't think of any other industry that I would rather be in than this one here. But, you know, forever always carrying a pocket knife at one stage of my life or another.
Yeah.
And, or using or finding something as a cutting tool was always a wonderful thing. So, but I think it's becoming more prevalent across the board. And even for ladies, you know, men, women, whatever, you know, that pocket jewelry aspect of kind of what we do. It's kind of like, it kind of goes.
That's why.
Wouldn't you agree?
That's what drew me to Microtech and Marfione Customs, I'd say, more than some of the other, because yes, there may be a blade that I look at that and say, probably that guy's not going to carry a pink blade. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. You never. But I'm just saying, some women are like, you know, you have women that they want a girly looking blade, and it doesn't. And the way you do it, though, you don't make it look girly. You just make it. You add maybe, you know, some feminine features or a design or a pattern or something that's like immediately the woman's like, I want, like, just like they want a bag or they want a wonderful pair of shoes. They're like, I want that. You know.
Well, I got something to share with you then.
Oh man!
We are doing a rose gold finish in a couple of the different series. You know, this one is the hair right here. Rose gold. I know it's your favorite, and it's a favorite amongst everybody. I mean, even I appreciate rose gold in a huge way, but this one is for you. Well, so you know the routine.
Am I getting stabbed?
You're getting stabbed. Just the tip. Come close. Don't flinch.
I won't.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go right here.
There's got to be blood or it doesn't
There
count.
it is.
Thank you.
All right. This is for you.
Wow.
Do enjoy.
Thank you.
So we've been experimenting a little bit with different OEM. You know, that's something that we don't do in-house is the PVD coatings for now. But we work with 3 major companies to get it down as good as we could, and we're extremely happy. So,
and with the hair of all things, too.
The hair is going to be a really nice limited run that we're going to do. But we're also looking at, like I said, the possibilities of doing a collaborative piece for, you know, Women Warriors Knives.
Yeah.
And, we're excited about that. So I think the whole concept behind that was to do something maybe in a Merlot with rose gold components with your deep cut logo on the face.
I know. And for me, that makes my heart race. I hope that it has the same effect on everyone. But I know in general, Merlot and rose gold and I mean,
it's nice.
I don't know how you could go wrong with that.
You really can't. You know, it's one of my faves. But enjoy.
Sorry, I was trying
piece.
to clop my own my. Did
I stick you?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
I was just.
Are you sure?
I was just clotting it. We're good. It's just a tiny little. You know how fingers are.
God, it was just
and
like one little.
Add in a little tequila.
It was just a tip.
And, you know.
Yeah, I mean, by the way,
a little more.
You know, our show's brought to you by not really, but I'd say it anyway. Brought to you by Don Julio 1942. So we're just having a little bit of that on ice. So
if they would be interested in sponsoring, though,
I know.
Even
us.
Just me, I'm good.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
super easy to drink.
I also think that, you know, a little bit of I think some unfortunate events over the past couple of years in terms of some street violence and other things that have been at times on the rise, and as we've gone through, I think it's really brought to the forefront people needing to not rely on other people to defend themselves as much as possible, or if at all possible.
It makes a difficult situation because for most, you know, what I've learned is you know, unlike others out there that are super badass people, I get that. You know, I've had my time at one time or another. But for me, it's just being a little bit more strategic. You're right. No matter where you go anymore, it's just a matter of being cognizant of your surroundings and just having, you know, a set of eyes in the back of your head. So no matter where I travel, I know that, you know, those, you know, scenarios where I think I can get out of or whatever, but I just try to avoid trouble in general.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's
and
the
I
goal.
think for most folks, I think, you know, just being due diligent, you know, just having the diligence just to understand your surroundings. You can avoid most trouble. Sometimes you can't. some of that just kicks you in the face or kicks you from behind, which is even worse. But, and I see people, you got to be able to try to self-preserve for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's limits to everything, but being self-confident, also conscious of your surroundings, everything else,
Yeah, situational awareness, definitely.
Absolutely. And that's part of how we live, even from a training aspect for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, why do you train the way that you do? I mean, I don't shoot a lot of competitions. I'm okay at the shooting. I'm not as good as some of the other guys, but I can handle myself in a situation, I believe.
I think at the end of the day, that's the most important.
Yeah. I've been able to protect a
Yeah.
family for 31 years and be cognizant of my surroundings. So, that's just the biggest thing. Situational awareness is probably the biggest thing I think to pay mind for.
The thing that makes blades, even in my opinion, obviously it depends on the situation you are in, but like you said, you hope to never have to use any weapon you have on you. You hope to never have to use it. But the good thing about a blade, though, is even if you have a package come in, you can just pull it out of your pocket and you got to play.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use this for so many other things besides just self-defense. What are you going to use a gun for besides self-defense? I mean, you can't just open a box with it.
Yeah, you can.
Well, you can, but I don't advise it.
Don't get me wrong. You can use a gun for a lot of things. I could punch holes and shit. I could drill holes through doors. I could sow the seeds.
Of course, a man would say that. Of course, a man would say
seeds being sown.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I get it though. But no, pocket knives have become part of, I couldn't imagine, I know that time, luckily I work at a knife factory because I'll, have a senior moment, wake up, go into work with my freaking Crocs on, forget my knife. And I'm like, shit, at least I can walk over and go get one.
Yeah.
And half the time, but I couldn't be without a pocket knife for sure.
Yeah. And I've absolutely never had to use anything in a self-defense situation. I don't claim to have to, but I think by me having it also just gives me an extra added self-confidence that people can usually read vulnerability in other people.
It's like anything else. I mean, we don't advocate any kind of violence or anything whatsoever, but when it comes to yourself, your self-preservation or the safety of people that you love around you, a failure to react could be the worst failure ever.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees in any situation, but I could assure you that if somebody tried to grab you and you could yell, kick, and scream, but once you start putting holes in them with that knife, I think it's going to change the dynamic of the fight.
Yeah. And I think it's also easier to defend in terms of if I... when there's a shooting and someone's maybe at a certain distance away from you, then you have to go through all the legal, well, were they really close to you? Did you really feel, if you use a blade, I mean, and somebody was literally on top of me, I think I could make a pretty good valid point. I mean,
I understand. I mean, any situation where you get into a confrontation like that, where you have to use some type of lethal force is always going to go up in front of a court. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I just mean in terms of...
But I'd rather do that. I mean, in any scenario, if I was capable of that, that was my last resort.
Yeah.
In any situation, I'm not going to let somebody put a bullet in me or worse at a gas pump just because they want my wallet. Give them the wallet. Here, take the car. Take whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it gets to that point, unfortunately, in this society, it doesn't seem that it happens anyway like that. They come up, somebody stick you up or whatever, stick it to you or shoot you just to take your wallet. So I hope to never be in that situation.
And this can go so many places too. I mean, you can always have it in your pocket, as opposed to there's a lot of women that purse carry a gun and things like that. Well, if someone steals your purse, you're kind of out of luck.
It's like anything else.
Yeah.
The effectiveness of any firearm or knife, I mean, is all going to depend on how well you train.
Yeah.
And safety first, of course, for you and anybody around you. But that's the only thing that I would say or suggest today, is that if you are going to take on the responsibility to carry a firearm or a knife for that type of purpose, you better stay on top of your game. But the biggest thing, I think, for most folks is just avoid situations. It's so easy to avoid confrontation. It's so easy when you're at a fucking traffic light and, somebody's throwing you the burden or flipping out, where you could just turn around and just fucking ignore them, or you can get into that confrontation, or you could be, and somebody could be doing something stupid. And I mean, somebody invades your physical space, that's game over.
Yeah.
That's different, but just out in the general public, typically I think if you could avoid most situations, I think,
So for people that potentially are new blade owners, what would you say their first, if they want to train and they want to put in the effort, what is their best way of going around? Because there's so many firearms training, but you don't see as much when it comes to blades.
The thing about it is I can't really particularly endorse any particular fighters out there. I mean, there's some great guys. Like, look at Bastian.
But for your average person.
I mean, your average person, I would say,
where do they start?
If anything, I'm going to say it's going to start with some type of either mixed martial arts or some type of school or dojo to go take some hand-to-hand. Because I think that if you're good at manipulating hand-to-hand, let's say even jiu-jitsu or something like that, you get into a scrap, then I think the incorporation of a blade is going to be that much easier. Because think about it, like a knife fight, people are like, you watch in the movies and you get in a knife fight, you're going to get cut.
Yeah.
You're going to get cut. You're going to get cut really bad. And so I would say for anybody, that would probably be the biggest way to go about it, is to find some level of training, whether, because you could incorporate that sort of training into your daily workout routine, karate or any of that sort of stuff. Some of our family, even myself, very early on.
Yeah.
But it's a degradable skill over time too if you don't practice. But I think that sort of mentality, to be in that mindset of training, I think if you're very good manipulative with your hands and feet, just think about how more lethal you could be with the extension of your hand with a knife or a baton or anything else. That's the thing. Point. The weapon is the weapon. The knife will do its job, but it's you.
Yeah.
You're the weapon. And nobody's going to fall on the freaking fucking blade. You're going to have to put it to them.
Yeah.
And they're not going to stand around and let you do it either.
Yeah.
So the manipulation of your personal sense. If you could throw a punch fast, if you could throw a block fast, imagine what you could possibly do in a situation where you had to defend yourself, defend your life.
Yeah.
How quick you would be with the extension of your arm. So I would say that'd probably be the first point, but.
And that's something that almost every city or major city, people could easily find that at the very minimum. If they didn't have blade specific training, they could at least find some sort of martial arts training. So I think that's really good.
I'm thinking, but it's just a matter of doing some research. And most people that get involved in it, it's very, very good because there's more to it than just the fight itself. Mm-hmm. Myself, even my son Sean, studied martial arts for a huge period of time, and he's an unbelievable fight. Sean is unbelievable at the craft of not only knives but martial arts. He doesn't advertise that or anything else like that, but he's been living it all his life, and to see him train and stuff like that is pretty impressive. But I think that's a lifestyle for most folks. You could be trained by a knife fighter, but you can't, you get winded out because you just don't have the methodology to roll around with somebody for that period of time. The way I've always said it is, if you have the wind, wind counts in everything. I think when it comes to a roll around fight, whoever is going to get winded last is going to be the one out of there. So
overall physical fitness.
I want to say some taking care of yourself and because, I'm not going to say, people will probably scrutinize me for saying this, but if you have to run away, you run away.
Absolutely.
And if you can, you better. But if you can't,
then
you fight, so. But there's nothing wrong with running away.
I'm going to try and run
because,
first thing.
Yeah, there's, I don't want that on my conscience hurting another human being.
I don't
But I'm
either.
certainly not going to be put in a box over fucking nothing either. So there's a difference.
I agree. I couldn't agree more with what you said. I think that's very good advice.
Yeah. So anyway.
Now I need to work on my flexibility and go take some martial arts training. Like
yoga. Hot yoga. No? Whatever.
I did the hot yoga. It was too hot.
Was it really too hot? They say they heat the whole freaking room. Is that true?
I don't think my body has ever. I think you pretty much just get ready to pass out from dehydration because I've only done yoga a couple times, and one of them was hot yoga, and I highly regretted it. Yeah,
I think so. I asked a couple of, buddy of mine that are team guys, and I remember talking to them when we were working with them earlier on. And I was like, dude, what is your secret? I figured they'd tell me some freaking bullshit. They're like hot yoga and CrossFit or whatever they do. And I was like,
it's intense.
Is the one operator, he's like, look, dude, it doesn't matter. I'm not really big, but he goes, I'm flexible as fuck. I'm not going to hurt myself, and I'll outrun you and outgas you in a minute. And it's just like, yes, sir, you got it. Yeah. Just
enough said.
That's it. So that kind of stuck with me for the longest time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you got the wind and you got the flexibility, we could roll,
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I've totally turned this podcast into asking you questions. I totally, but
No.
if you want to ask
all about
me a
Kat.
question,
Yeah.
I know. If you would like to ask me a question,
You know what I want to ask you about?
Yes.
You know, I've seen a tremendous amount of really great footage of you hunting.
Yeah.
Now, I used to hunt. Lo and behold, and I want to go hunting again. And I love to fish and everything else. But you've really have gone after some just beautiful, just some of the experiences I see. And I see it, you know, vicariously through the fucking Instagram of all things, which I hate the most. But I see you out there fucking shooting these gargantuan, like Tyrannosaurus Rex freaking alligators and shit, and these huge reindeer and stuff. But just tell me a little bit about what drives you there, because that's cool.
Okay, well, that is a fun journey and exploration that I enjoy sharing with people, because I didn't grow up in a family of hunters. I mean, I learned later that my father did, or my grandfather did, but my father never did. I didn't have any brothers. It was something that I had to make the decision on my own to do, and I started with just loving traveling, and then the more I researched just kind of about the stuff they put in meats, and you hear nowadays,
Sure.
I mean, people, organic free range meat is a big thing. Well, there's no better, or, you know, organic free range than literally an animal that's out in the woods. And I just know that for me, I find it kind of really kicked into gear when, remember not too long ago when there was no meat in the, you know, everybody went crazy and we're buying up all the meat and we're doing hoarding toilet paper. But let's not forget about
Jesus Christ already.
I know.
Please don't even get me fucking started.
I know. It's still too new, but at that time I realized, you know what? I think a really good skill to have for just life and be able to pass on is being able to hunt in the event that you can't find food or meat for whatever reason, amongst all other things. It's also, I feel, one thing they think, oh, you must not like animals. Completely
Totally love
false.
Animals. I love animals. I like how they taste and I like how they grill up.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
Ted Nugent said, you got to kill it to grill it. So it's like, that's how it happens.
And when you put that much time, effort, money into everything, when you go hunting and you have to physically, I'll tell you the one thing that you don't do, and that's waste. And that's very different than when it's so easy to just purchase meat and you don't really think about it. You don't think about the animal that went into that, the condition, you don't think, a lot of people throw so much food is thrown away.
Oh my God. The amount that even comes out of grocery. No, it is a tough thing.
Yeah.
Because, it's like anything else. I mean, I've always had to cook for a large size family. It's harder to cook, but I try to cook, with bearing that in mind, because, I'll be honest with you. I mean, throughout my lifetime, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I know what it's like to go hungry, but it's always been taught to us that just preserving food or preserving just enough was always the right way to go.
And there's a lot when it comes to conservation with animals. Unfortunately, you can't have both the animal populations going out of control, just like you can't have human populations going out of control. They do compete for each other's spaces, and that's why you see animals alongside the road, etc. Hunting does try and keep. There's so much money put into conservation. They figure out how many animals can be taken from the land, and the reason why you see that I get such big animals is because I refuse to shoot immature animals.
Sure.
I only will, and people will say it's trophy hunting. No, that's responsible hunting. You take the most mature animal that you can find. You leave the babies, you let them grow. And that's what I believe in. So if I do pull the trigger or I do pull my bow back, or it's going to be on a mature animal, or it's not going to be pulled at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
I know that the conservation proportion of it is huge, because I didn't really know about that until early on, probably late 90s, when I think we were dabbling at the time of making arrowheads and getting into a totally new industry. I had an opportunity to meet some folks, because we were doing different shows. We were going to big archery shows and some big Safari International shows. I got a chance to meet some big outfitters, because often I was a hunter at the time, and I'd hunt what we'd take and we'd feed and everything else. We never let anything go to waste. And when we were in Florida. But, so when I got a chance to meet some of these folks, I'm like, hey, man, I killed the big five. And it's like, what's the big five? It's like, why in the fuck would you shoot an elephant? It's like, why would you shoot a leopard, or why would you shoot a water buffalo? I get that. I get that now, even though I wasn't against it, but certain people would be. You know, and how the guys taught me, you know, it's just like, because I questioned it. I was like, look, I love this stuff, but, you know, sitting over eating a fucking steak in Las Vegas, I was like, why would you go kill an elephant? You know? He's like, look, bro, you know, in his South African voice, I won't mention names, he's a buddy of mine. But Zach, if you're out there, I love you, baby.
And I even have mixed feelings with some of that. The thing is that I do know for a fact is that I know that the prices and things for that type of hunting is usually high because they use a large amount of that money to go against poachers.
What I was going to go ahead and say is that once I learned, from Zach and his team had explained to me, they said, look, you know, think about the poaching that's happened throughout the last 100 years or 120 or 150 years. They said, you know, all these programs that we do to bring on hunters to manage
exactly
a certain amount of thinning of these herds. They said, look at the Mozambique Reserve and how many elephants are on there now compared to 100 years ago when they were killing them just for the freaking ivory.
Exactly.
You know, they said, we work with the local tribes, we work with the local government. Yes, you get caught in poaching, if you even get caught, if not shot on sight, it's punishable by death.
Yeah.
So, you know, but as any big herds, whether it be deer herds, elephant herds, or lion herds, or anything, they have to be managed. And the states that manage these hunts know how to, you know, orchestrate these hunts for the better of the reserve itself. So I get why they're doing it. And yes, when they go ahead and they bag a big elephant or they bag a big game, if they don't take the game itself, it goes to the local tribes and they waste absolutely nothing. So, you know, shame on a lot of people out there that don't think that this has been helpful, because there's a lot of animals that were on the or on the brink of extinction. You know, thank goodness for these conservationists, or I probably just butchered that word, but, you know, these folks that have taken the time in their lives to either orchestrate working with the governments to preserve these animals. So we get it. We get it. No, do we need to hunt? But I think it's like anything else in our society today. Yeah, okay, you know, learn how to hunt, learn how to forage, maybe learn how to garden, maybe learn how to do anything, you know, except play on a goddamn phone or something like that. You know, it seems like our society has lost so much.
Well, just because you have a calculator doesn't mean you should not learn how to do math. Exactly. So I have the hopes that, you know, that the generations to come will not forget how to farm, not forget how to machine parts, not forget how to, you know, run a business or do things that we have to do here at home, or even self-preserve. You know, you look at, you know, a lot of people crack fun at the Amish and all those other folks. They don't need nobody. Yeah. They got everything. They grow their farm. They grow all their stuff. They have their own thing, and they don't even need electricity. I mean, electricity goes out here and that's it. I'm done. I'm out of business. 30 years gone. Well, I know people that have come at me and say about how inhumane and things, but when I look at that, the consequence of overpopulation of animals is animals starve to death. And to me, there is nothing worse than an animal slowly starving to death.
Because if they're well protected to the point, then of course, then they're not even well protected amongst themselves. Yeah. So, you know, there's a happy medium, or a happy, you know, I like everything that I've heard in regards to the conservation and things along those lines in regards to hunt. It's just like here in Western North Carolina. I mean, if we don't have deer season every year, guess what? We're going to have a problem. You know, even the introduction of coyotes and wolves or whatever they did back in the day to thin out the deer, that's great.
They need hunted too now.
Yeah. So, you know, a cause and effect to everything they got going out there. But, you know, here on my property, I don't hunt any of the animals, with the exception of anything nuisance. So it would be a coyote or something like that. But this is kind of like their little refuge here, you know, on the property.
And I love that as well. I mean, I started off wanting to be a veterinarian or working something with animals. I love animals, but I think you can love animals and also respect hunting, ethical and legal hunting. Obviously, people who poach and I don't consider those hunters.
No.
Those are not hunters.
Absolutely. No, they're exactly what they are. They're fucking poachers.
Exactly.
You know, so, you know, the idea, like you say, of, you know, making your shot count, you know, being good enough at what you do, thinking twice before you pull that trigger to get a humane kill is important. You know, it's like anything else.
Yeah, and I can say that I feel like I should just my own. I've never wounded an animal. I've either completely missed from an error of something, which I'm okay with. If I'm clean miss, or I've had a perfect shot. And to me, I'm perfectly okay with that, because I sometimes don't take shots that maybe that other people said, why didn't you take that shot? I didn't feel comfortable.
Too risky. Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable. I'm not going to wing it. I do take into consideration the animal as well. Not just me, but the animal.
That's very good. Mm-hmm. Hey, talking about animals, tell me about your dog.
I love my dog. I didn't know. I know people have always loved their dogs, and love their dogs, but I always had little dogs growing up, like little ones, and
like little yappers, or like what, like Yorkies?
The actual ankle biters,
like Chihuahua.
Yes, her name was Paris. And another one was London. It's a long story.
I miss. We had a little Papillon poodle. His name is Gizmo, and we called him the Schnarf.
Yeah.
Because he'd make that Schnarf noise when you go to feed him. He'd go.
Yeah.
And little alpha dog, grew up with German Shepherds all his life. The fucking thing is still alive. I think it was my wife, my ex-wife, got him in like 2004. Gizmo, the Schnarf, is still alive.
Yeah.
Beautiful dog, had the papillon ears and the fluffy. Now he's missing fur, and he's old, and he's missing all his teeth.
Yeah.
But his dog would not turn down a fight to anybody, because he grew up with big dogs and German Shepherds all his life. So he was always one guy to eat first.
Yeah.
God forbid if I, lay next to Susan in the middle of the night and I go to kiss her, he'd bite me on my face. Shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the dog was 100 pounds, I'd have to fucking euthanize
exactly.
him.
That's why the little dogs can get away with it.
Yeah.
I swear that's why little dogs can do whatever they want, because all you do is pick them up and put them in their place. If a big dog did half of the stuff little dogs, we wouldn't even have little dogs. But my Malinois has...
Millie, right?
Yes, yeah. Millie. She is... I've never had such an emotional connection. And actually, when I look into her eyes, I see... a brain looking back, if that makes sense. Where when I look into my Yorkie's eyes, it's
I got you.
Yeah. I don't want to offend
But no, I get that, because I've met, had on a couple occasions already. I've met, when I first met you, I met you in the dog.
Yeah.
And the dog definitely got your six.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely
regardless of what anybody's said about, Millie, the dog's on top of her game every minute of the day when she's with you, when she's turned on.
Yeah.
And, but very impressive Mel. So
she problem solves. She does things that I personally wasn't even aware the dog could do. I mean, I always thought you love dogs and they love you back unconditionally, but she truly is very intelligent, and I'm always amazed by the intelligence of animals, when we so often think it's only a dog, or it's only, and no, she's, I swear she's so much more than a dog.
Absolutely. Because I have, my Mel is Kono,
know,
and I got him from Coastline Canine, which they're good guys.
That was literally our very first conversation.
I know that we had about dogs and everything else, but Kono's been awesome. Big J takes him when I got to work or do too much or whatever, because I got to keep him active. But I will say the last bit of training that Kono went through with Byron and Elena, whatever they did to this dog was just like 1,000,000,000% better than before I received him. So he's lived up to my expectations. Great protector. Always got my 6.
Yeah.
And it's that breed is just unbelievable. Like I said, I've mostly had German Shepherds and little shit dogs all my life, but unfortunately with German Shepherds, I lost, my first German very kind of young, and then I bought another one, and then, he fucking came home and he was sick or whatever, wouldn't eat. A couple days, I'm gonna tell my son Adam, hey, go take this dog in. Maybe he ate a sock or something, because he looks like he's bloated. Poor dog had cancer all over his body, and they had to put him down. It's the saddest thing. Yeah. It was the saddest thing ever, and it's just like, I don't think I could do another German Shepherd.
I know that's the problem with the larger dogs. They don't have the lifespan that the smaller dogs generally
I think Kono is going to live forever, because that fucker's like, he's cantankerous as shit. He's a little bit older, but he bites as hard as anything else. And like I said, the last bit of training he's gotten, his bite work, his demeanor, everything about him has just been spot on. But I noticed that with Millie. Like I said, I've met the dog on a few occasions, and the dog is just totally on point all the time. Even like that thing that happened at Blade Show. It was just like really cool.
I know that was it. Scared me for a moment, but it was.
I know, but the dog did the right thing.
Literally did her job, and she didn't
100% didn't hurt anybody. So
and really that's good. But I think the thing about the Malinois is not much different than any other type of training. They need to get little refreshers too. You don't drive your car and never get an oil change. You don't, all that.
No, absolutely. And
they need little tune-ups.
And most of the great support that I get from Coastline is they do come.
Yeah.
They come to North Carolina, not so much to work with the dog as much as to train me.
Yeah.
I think the dog is consistent. I think it's my bullshit that I need to keep on top of at most of the time. But man, it's great to run those scenarios. We do live scenarios here on the property, and it's talking about getting your heart raised. I mean, those guys kicked my ass, doing like a carjacking with the dog. That was the most intense thing I've ever done in my life. Because it wasn't like, oh, Tony, blah, blah. It's just like,
yeah, no, they
Kono, help me. It's just like these guys were kicking my ass for real.
Have you ever been in a bite suit?
I have not been in a bite suit, and I don't think I would go up against my dog because I look at Byron when he gets done, and he's got fucking bruises all over his body.
Yes, I have.
Have you done it really with your own dog, or no, or different?
No, it was with another dog, but it was. I asked. I mean, it was one of those where they said no, and I said I would sign any liability and promised I wouldn't sue them and did all that. I just wanted to do it for me. They didn't. It was not encouraged by any means, but I wanted to see. I just wanted to know, and I'll tell you, even through that thick suit, I was bruised or I almost lost my footing a couple times, and that's when the moment they get in those, and luckily the dog was called off. So a well-trained dog will be called off, if they realize that I'm losing my ground because they don't want me on the ground. It's just a training scenario.
Sure.
But
yeah,
it was definitely.
Watching these dogs in action is the most exhilarating thing I've ever seen.
Maligator is no joke. It's no joke.
Maligator.
Yeah.
Malaraptor.
Yeah.
You name it.
I call mine a velociraptor. Yeah. They'll even snap their jaws like a gator would.
That's what Kono does.
Yeah.
He's got titanium canines, so when he gets going a little bit, you can hear that clackling.
Yeah. It's
the metal clank, and it's just like. I'm like, oh, that's intimidating as fuck,
Even mine that doesn't have anything, when she gets excited and she does her little jaw thing, it gives me, I'm like, whoo, all right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, again, welcome here, and I'm looking forward to.
I totally need to know about that gun next year. I'm just throwing it out there. I've been withholding my question the whole time, but
we're gonna go ahead and make sure that this is clear.
I already saw it has the fun switch on it. And
clear. This is a HK G41 pre-sample. Mm-hmm. It's a very neat piece in mint condition. It's from my library, but check it out.
Okay. You don't have to ask me twice.
That HK made. It has a forward assist, and also took NATO or M16 magazines. So neat piece for sure.
30 round capacity, looks like.
30 round or whatever the AR magnet would take. So I believe that this gun, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, don't crucify me, but HK delivered this gun, I think, for the original trials. Maybe it was M4 trials or something along those lines back in the 80s. That was their submission. Of course, the Colt M4 or M16A2. Love you, Eugene Stoner. You're the greatest gun guy ever. This is my favorite, but of course the Colt M4 won.
So when you get an older gun like this, do you like to keep it in exactly factory condition and not add maybe newer optics or new things?
Well, I mean, on pieces like this, typically, I mean, we'll try to stick to the autonomy of the original maker, whether it be the mounts or optics that they would have had with this gun at the time period. Cool. And most of the time when I purchase pieces like this, it'll come with different things, but on pieces like this, vintage, autonomically, I can't even talk today. Just correct.
Yes.
I get it.
Anatomically
correct. Sorry, the tequila is kicking in on an empty stomach today.
Yeah.
So I'm running on 2 scoops of rice from Carla's dish. But thankfully, she shared.
I offered to order you.
You did.
I'm just throwing it out there. You didn't respond, and I was like,
tequila, guys, 1942. Good stuff. But no, neat piece. Awesome. I just want to kind of share with the audience just a few different things that I enjoy, and that's one of them. So that came out of a collection from Long Mountain Outfitters. Thank you, Dan. You are still my hero and my guru. And but thank you for that particular piece.
It's very awesome.
You'll have to shoot it. It stomps like a mule because it freaking cycles so hard. It's one of the hardiest kicking HKs. You'd think an HK 91 and 308 would be worse. This thing, I don't know if the locking piece is off or what, but it stomps your ass.
I don't know if I've shared the good news with you yet, but I just got my first full auto. Well, it's in the process of being transferred, but it's paid for, and it's my first full auto.
Yeah, I love you.
I know. It's like a rite of...
No, it's just, I'm going to tell you right now, it's
Yes.
a fucking sickness. All right.
I have
For
been
everybody out there that knows about class 3 and class 2 and shit like that, it's a sickness.
Yeah.
It is an ailment. And I've been sick all my life. And you're about to get the bug.
I know. I've been recently even slightly find myself considering if I really think my children need to go to college or not. And I'm like, okay, wait. That's
Hell no. No. I already spent all my kids' inheritance. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I did not spend all your kids' inheritance. Daddy's not going to squander it, I swear. But I got a couple cool things in the mix for you guys.
I'm going trade school. Trade schools are great, kids. I
That's
know.
it. Yeah, there you go.
Got some full autos coming. Well, thank you for
anyway.
having me here, and I hope to have a
Absolutely.
part 2. I don't know what would do part 2, but
We can. When you come up
Perfect.
next, like I said, I want to continue to work with your group. You've done nothing but good things for Microtech and our organization, and like I said, you kept it high and tight and real. So I commend you for that, and I
Thank
commend the
you.
girls too. That's a big thing nowadays because there's so much bullshit going on. It's incredible. But thank you for being a partner with us.
well, as a company, I will say I've been very impressed with everything you have said you would do. You've always done, and to me, the ability to follow through is one of the values, characteristics that I care the most about. There's so many people that I know one of our mutual friends, Jamie, she calls it lip service. And I now have
love
to use the word
Jamie.
lip service because
Yeah.
she says a lot of people are lip service, but no action. And
Right.
I respect companies like you that support not only what we are doing in the industry, but also you always follow through, and everything that you've ever said you've done. And to me, that goes in a special place, and, and respect for me.
Very good.
For you. Respect from me to you. You know
You'll
what I
always
mean.
be part of our family. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this concludes our podcast with the lovely Kat. So do stay tuned.
I don't even know where the cameras are. I'm just like...
I don't know.